You're listening to Entrepreneur Encounter, the podcast where soft skills meet real talk for creative business owners who are building with purpose. I'm Dana, a Pinterest marketing strategist and agency owner helping wedding pros and creative entrepreneurs get seen without burning out.
And I'm Sarah, a business and team strategist who helps small teams and podcasters communicate clearly, lead with empathy, and grow sustainably. Together, we're unpacking the messy, meaningful side of entrepreneurship, from boundaries to burnout, leadership to listening, so you can build a business that actually fits your life.
Ever feel like you're spinning your wheels, trying to juggle all the moving parts of your business, only to end up exhausted and overwhelmed? We're not going to sugarcoat it. We've been there too.
Yeah. And, sometimes the answer is not about adding more strategies, but actually letting go of the ones that no longer serve you. Today, we're going to go behind the scenes on what we've been letting go of, starting with this very podcast to create more space for real growth. Let's get into it.
I'm super excited for this part.
I'm so excited. Yay!
Welcome to The Entrepreneur, the brand new Entrepreneur Encounter, actually, the podcast where soft skills meet real talk for creative business owners who are building with purpose. I'm Dana, a Pinterest marketing strategist and agency owner helping wedding pros and creative entrepreneurs get seen without burning out.
I'm Sarah, and I am in business operations and team growth consulting who helps small teams and podcasters bring back the human element into their business.
And if you've been listening to us for a while, you might start to notice that some things are a little different. And that's because we've made some big emotional changes to how we do this show. And honestly, it's taught us both a lot about business as well. So I'm super excited to dive into it and just rip the curtain and share all the good, bad, and ugly with what's going on with the show.
It's going to be really exciting. I'm excited, and I'm sure that our audience is excited too. I've been trying to ramp it up on social media. Hey, this is what we're doing. So let's be real with everybody. We had to completely restructure this podcast. What do you think? What was happening before we realized we needed to change?
I think what shifted is how busy podcasting started to feel. And that I'm going to actually talk about myself more because I feel like most of it was me. We were trying to feel, be so different and provide so many things that we were no longer effectively sharing our message. But we were also putting the cart before the horse, and I wanted to do all of these amazing things, but we didn't have a solid foundation. And I also wasn't being real with myself on how much time I actually have to do all the things. Like many of us and the listeners here, we're solopreneurs or we're small but mighty teams. And so we have to be very intentional about where our time is going. And while I didn't want to cut this podcast completely, because I do wholeheartedly believe in its message, the old format of us having a guest on every single week, trying to funnel them into a community when I'm also growing a community in my own business was just too much for my brain to cognitively take on, because one community is enough. And I don't know why I thought I could launch two different communities simultaneously while also doing personal life, outside of my business. My kids were adjusting to new school schedules. They're all in school now. So that was a big adjustment. I pivoted from business management to Pinterest management. And so that means I have a lot of foundations that I have to build from scratch. And I wasn't leaving myself enough time or bandwidth to actually do that, let alone give myself the blank space that I know we've talked about in different episodes of carving out that time to literally do nothing and allow creativity to flow naturally so that we can continue to give to the podcast that much better.
And I want to tell you, Dana, that I really appreciate you for coming to me and having that conversation, because oftentimes as business owners, we don't like to have those difficult conversations, especially with somebody that's close to us in our space, because you never know what the other person's going to say. And I believe that we need to have that more. Like any business owner, if there's something that they need to bring up, yeah, it's going to be tough, but you got to bring up the hard stuff, because if you don't, then now, if you didn't bring that up, then we would be doing something else. And then it wouldn't be as authentic per se. It wouldn't, like, we would feel like we were doing something because we had to. So changing the way that you do things, it's scary, but it's okay to do that. And I believe that's what other entrepreneurs, creatives, whatever type of business that you're in, that it's okay to pivot. And if you have a partner, have that conversation and see where you can meet in the middle. Like when I told you, Dana, I was like, okay, well, let's do something else, because I think there's a way that we can share our message without it getting buried under other people's messages. Although I'm very thankful for the people that we've had on our show, because I've learned a lot. Yeah, like a lot of things I learned I didn't know, and we're having those guests on the show. So that was a really good time.
I know I've mentioned before just about like one, community is everything. And I know we've been doing this for years, and we're like virtual friends before this podcast even happened. And I was still scared to talk to you about, because I felt like I was letting you down. I know I cried a lot. No secret, you guys. Like I cry. I'm an emotional person. It is what it is. But having being able to share that in a safe space, and you being one, okay with it, and then like immediately we took action, lifted so much stress that then I was able to pour more into the podcast, because I wasn't trying to do, not that I was, but it just felt like I was trying to do everything by myself, and that was just a lot. And it was not even necessarily with this podcast, but it was just with my business, because like I said, I'm a small but mighty team of basically 1.5. And was like, I just feel like I couldn't delegate anything, because I just didn't even have the time to like the bandwidth to even make a video to outsource it. So y'all, community is everything. But I don't know, letting go of things sounds counterintuitive,
Mhm.
but I do feel like it led us to be more intentional, because we're letting go of the things that weren't working and weren't serving us and weren't like igniting us in a way that, like the main thing that we both look forward to was actually recording. And we didn't look forward to many other things.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's so funny because our listeners, if you guys haven't noticed, we've been throwing up on YouTube and Instagram with like just like shorts and reels, more just to kind of get it out of what we're up to. I've been having, I guess, more fun. I mean, we let go like a little part, but now knowing that we're going in a different direction, because we now have a slightly different message and want to talk about and educate like what we do. It's, for some reason, it's easier for me to talk about it. I don't know like how to really explain that, but I'm like, yeah, let me go make a short real quick. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, you know? But I think once you let go of something, you realize, okay, this is a really good part of it. Let's keep that. And if this is not working, then let go of that. So I think that's okay. Definitely okay.
So right now, effective immediately a few months ago. Here's the things that we're letting go of. We are pausing almost, I don't want to say like forever, but for a good while, guest booking and coordination complexity that, because when you have guests on, there's workflows and automations and follow-ups and everything else that has to happen even before they get on the phone, like the call with you.
Mhm.
But then there's a lot of post-production and content creation and all the things that come along with it. So just that is being let go. You will hear just me and Sarah
So
like in
exciting.
the old days. Overcomplicated episode structures. It's going to be very similar to this, where we're just chit-chatting back and forth and letting things flow naturally. We're letting go of topics that weren't aligned with our unique expertise. While I loved having guests on and sharing their unique expertise, the conversation did flow nicely. We're letting go of that so that we can be more with our own expertise and inspire you in our own unique ways. We're also removing and letting go posting schedules that do not work with either one of our businesses. Something that has been, I'm pretty sure we've said it before, but like all these batch scheduling, content creation, marketing methods, they all work. That's why whoever created them, they all make hundreds of millions of dollars. You just have to find the structure and strategy that aligns best with you. So we may talk on the different ones, but we're going to give our unfiltered opinions on what only worked for us and things to potentially like red and green flags to look out for you to question if it is genuinely working for you.
Yeah, and then with that, I believe that that's all going to make it more fun, more engaging, and I think those that are listening, it's yours. Whatever you're doing, it's yours. It's your business, your podcast, whatever. Oh, yes, you can take our advice, our suggestions, and we've done that. We listen to other people as well, but it's up to you and how you want to do things. Because if not, what's the point? Like, why are you doing what you're doing?
Pepper.
Exactly. Yeah. So just what makes you feel good and have fun with it.
I mean, I think this is how it should be. So, like for me, I'm doing essentially the same thing with my Pinterest strategy. So I'm keeping my marketing channels. I'm being intentional with my marketing channels. Like I am not trying to be omnipresent. I'm going to repurpose certain content on certain platforms and then spend most of my marketing minutes in certain platforms. So like I will post on LinkedIn, but I'm not doing any community engagement. Like it will be shared and forgotten. But it's my podcast, my own podcast will go there. This podcast will go on LinkedIn because it's meant to go towards business professionals like that. Whereas my one-on-one clients, I'm going to spend more time on Instagram and in Facebook groups, which in itself is funny enough, or threads. Instagram and threads I still lump together. I probably shouldn't, but I do. But I'm trying to eliminate being busy and be more productive with how I do things. So I'm also taking a big step back in my own business. For anyone that's new here or needs a reminder, I started my online business journey as a virtual assistant for wedding professionals. So all of my project management workflows, my SOPs, our standard operating procedures, everything was geared towards how to help someone in their business every day, every week, every month, and quarterly reviews. When I started building an interest and diving into the strategies related to Pinterest and visibility strategies and organic marketing, I would be lying if I said I did not take the time to write that stuff down. It's just all in my head. I'm trying to grow this amazing boutique agency and I already have clients, so I'm already kicking myself. But I am intentionally taking a step back and not taking on a bunch of new clients unless they're in my low ticket, high value spaces because I can still serve them to build a solid foundation. So I'm working on those foundational pieces of building a seamless onboarding experience with ClickUp, going back to ClickUp and having not only just a one-off ClickUp. Going back to ClickUp, you guys. There was no affiliate here, just going back to ClickUp because I really liked how it worked. But instead of just having a back end face for like internal team communication, I'm going to have a client facing and a team facing project board tied to each client. So, and then I'm going to dive into the automation tools of once a client does this, it's going to trigger the next person in line, which for now is just me, but I want it set up to where it will trigger to like my virtual assistant or heaven help me, I get a graphic designer on my team. It will trigger to them. So once the copy is approved, then the graphics can be designed. And then once that's done, it goes back to me for final review. And then it goes to whoever else to schedule it. Like that's where I was already operating at, but I didn't have the systems in place. So I'm intentionally going back to set the foundation of those systems. I'm adding a CRM back into my tech stack and I'm using Dubsado. And so I'm filtering in that lead capture form and letting it automatically filter out if they're a good fit or not. Like if they answer the questions a certain way, and I can already tell like we're not going to work well together, I'm going to have a canned email that goes out. Hey, don't feel like we're aligned. If you still want to work with me, here's how to do so with like a VIP session. So it's not ongoing, or they can do my styled pin, forget it, like my lower ticket, less hands on. So I can provide them the support they're looking for without risking my energy and mindset, you know? But if they are, then it'll work them through a flow of getting on my calendar, booking a call, giving them their onboarding packet, like all of that information is going to be set up. And so that's where we're at right now, is taking big steps back so that we can have a foundation to take big leaps forward, hopefully by next year.
No, that's really amazing. I know sometimes it takes a lot to pivot, to make those decisions and figure out like, what do you want to do as a business? Should you do this? Should you use this tool and all of those things? Dana, I'm proud of you. Good job on doing all that. Yay. Recently, I've come to terms that my message for over the last couple of years was not working. So I decided to pivot in a different way on how I was communicating with my audience. Oh, and just sharing my message, because for my business, I'm on a mission to humanize the workplace. So as a business manager, business operations, doing all the team growth stuff, I want to make sure that everybody that's in the whatever role that they're in, they're able to be successful, whether it be employee, contractor, whatever it is, to be successful in their role. And I started doing more networking calls. And that is what I've been changing within my business, because people say, yeah, you can get all the clients you want from social media. Like, never in my 4.5 years, however, gotten a client off of social media. And it's all about networking and building those relationships. Yes, it's going to take a lot longer, but having those conversations to me is a lot better than a social media post. So that's the pivot that I made, and making sure that I keep in contact with these people, even though they might not work with me. Is that 6 degrees of separation? You never know. You never know who they know.
So I want to touch on that because there's so much power that comes from a follow-up, and that I do feel like is something that we in our individual businesses need to focus on and let go of it, like we were talking about with the podcast. That way we have the time, but the podcast as a means of creating that touch point in our individual businesses. Hey, last time we talked, you mentioned this struggle. Well, here's a podcast episode that we specifically used, and I think it would bring value to you. And it opens up that conversation. When power in the follow-ups is crazy. There's someone that's been on my list. Where's her little... She's a social media marketer, and we connected earlier this year, maybe even at the end of last year. And both of us, when we finally got on the call, like I dragged my feet with following up with her because I was like, man, maybe she's just not interested. I emailed her anyway. I finally emailed her 2 weeks ago, and we hopped on another call. And now we are cross promoting each other's things because she has a course launching. And so I was like, oh my gosh, that thing needs to be on Pinterest because it's an evergreen self-paced course. And so I was talking to her about that, but then she has clients now under her business that could benefit from me. So I can also white label her under her business and sharing their content on Pinterest on her behalf, but she's not having anything extra added to her plate other than a consistent stream of leads or visibility coming to her clients, blogs, newsletters, whatever it is she's working with on them.
That's awesome.
But that wouldn't have happened if I didn't follow up.
That's amazing, because if you don't follow up, then they're gone in the wind. They're gone forever. Maybe not forever, but like they'll probably forgot about you. Be like, what? Who's that person?
Exactly. Well, and that's what she said. She's like, you've been on my list, blah, blah, blah. And she just hasn't had the time or bandwidth to remember to do so. So don't be afraid. Essentially, that's my message for today of letting things go, is don't be afraid to reach back out. I mean, all they're going to do is say no, or your email gets lost in their inbox, which means they need a virtual assistant. And maybe you can solve that problem by referring someone. And then now they have the bandwidth to actually collaborate with you. You just never know what the other person is going.
Yeah, no, for sure. So since our show has always been about soft skills and professional development, I believe that this whole process of letting go has taught us it's not just a strategy. It requires self-awareness and courage to bring up those difficult conversations, problem solving, all these things that go into having to let go. Yes, letting go of whatever you do let go is scary at first because you may think, well, if I let this go, what if this happens? Well, what if you don't let it go? And now we can just go down a rabbit hole and say, like, what if this happens? But if you are wanting to let go of something in your business and you know that it's going to help you grow personally and professionally, then do it. If that is what you want to do, nobody's stopping you but you.
Exactly. Get out of your own way. I think another thing like soft skill that to focus on is problem solving skills. We individually, as well as a duo, had to figure out what was actually working versus what we thought should work. And I think that was a lot with the podcast is, oh, this should work this way and this should be that way. But they weren't systems that worked for either one of us. They worked for someone else. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So I think that's the biggest is going through like problem solving and really getting personal with yourself and doing an internal audit or an internal audit with both of us in a sense, if you have a team and seeing what's working, like really working. Have that honest, probably extremely uncomfortable conversation. And if it's not working, identify why. Like if you using procrastination as the problem and solving that, in a sense, why do you keep procrastinating? Is it fear of them saying no and that's why you're not sending the proposal? Is it you don't know how to break the big project down into smaller bite-sized pieces? Because I'll procrastinate a whole website revamp in a heartbeat because I'm like, I don't even know where to start. Like, why are you procrastinating that? And I think that's was procrastinating a lot of things because I was just overwhelmed. And I didn't know how to move forward in a lot of things. Like it was just affecting a lot, not just in my business. And then what we think we should do, don't just think, but we know this podcast is going to be better for our audience when it's just us two and sharing our personal trial by fire efforts of building a business and how we're connecting and the soft skills that tie into it.
Thank you so much for listening to this new version of our Entrepreneur Encounter. If you enjoy this episode, follow along with us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and let's have some fun together.
Thanks for spending time with us today. If something in this episode gave you a fresh perspective, share it with a friend or send us a DM. We love hearing how these conversations land with you.
And if you're curious about how soft skills can support your next season of growth, we each have more resources to share.
You can find Dana on Instagram at danas.desk.nc for Pinterest strategy and intentional marketing.
And Sarah at URembert for team development, business leadership, and podcast support.
Until next time, keep leading with purpose
and growing with intention.